So here we have the function x squared times cosine pi over 3 whole divided by sine x. So we need to determine the derivative of this given function with respect to x. Before doing that, what we can do is we can write the value of cosine pi over 3, which is 60 degrees. So cosine of 60 degrees is half. So that means we have to find the derivative of x squared over 2 sine x. Now 1 over sine x, now or we can say that sine x is the reciprocal of the cosec function. So here we can write it as half. It being a constant, we can take it out of the derivative. So we have to find the derivative of x squared times cosec of x. Now we can apply the product rule, treating x squared as the first function. So we have x squared times the derivative of the second function, which is cosec of x, plus cosec of x times the derivative of x squared, which will give us half times x squared. Now the derivative of the cosec function is negative cosec x times cot x, plus cosec x times derivative of x squared is going to be twice of x. So this is the derivative of the given function with respect to x. Let's move on to the next question. So here we have the function x raised to the power of 4 multiplied to 5 sine x minus 3 cos of x. So let us treat the 5 sine x minus 3 cos x as the first function and x raised to the power of 4 as the second function. Then we find the derivative with respect to x. So that is going to give us the first function, which is 5 sine x minus 3 cosine of x multiplied to the derivative of the second function, which is x raised to the power of 4, plus the second function times the derivative of the first function, 5 sine x minus 3 cosine of x, which will be equals to 5 sine x minus 3 cosine of x times the derivative of x raised to the power of 4. So that will be 4x, 4 minus 1. So that will be 4x cubed, plus x raised to the power of 4 times the derivative of 5 sine x, which is simply 5 times the derivative of sine x, minus 3 times the derivative of cosine of x. So 5 and 3 being constant, we have pulled it out of the derivative. So that gives us, so we can multiply the 4 to each of the terms of 5 sine x and then 3 cos x. So that will give us x cubed multiplied to 20 sine x minus 4 times 3 is 12, 12 cosine of x, plus x raised to the power of 4, 5 times the derivative of sine x is cosine of x, and we have negative 3 times the derivative of cosine of x, which is negative sine x. So we have plus 3 times sine x. So this is the derivative of the given function with respect to x cubed. So we have the function 2x cubed minus 3 multiplied to sine of x. So we have to find its derivative. So let's consider 2x cubed minus 3 as the first function, to be multiplied to the derivative of the second function, that is sine x, plus the second function, which is sine of x, multiplied to the derivative of the first function, which is 2x cubed minus 3. So we have 2x cubed minus 3 times the derivative of the sine function, which is cosine of x, plus sine of x multiplied to derivative of 2x cubed. So 2 being a constant, we can pull it out of the derivative. So derivative of x cubed minus the derivative of 3 with respect to x. So we have 2x cubed minus 3 times cosine of x plus sine of x multiplied to 2 times derivative of x squared. X cubed will be 3x squared minus derivative of the constant function, which is 0. So that will give us 2x cubed minus 3 times cosine of x plus 2 times 3x squared will be 6x squared times sine of x. So this is the derivative of the given function. Let's move on to the next question. So here we have the function 2 minus 3 times x raised to the power of negative 9 whole multiplied to x raised to the power of 5. So we have to find its derivative using the product rule. So we treat 2 minus 3 x raised to the power of negative 9 as the first function. So that will be multiplied to the derivative of the second function plus the second function times the derivative of the first function, which is 2 minus 3 times x raised to the power of negative 9. So that gives us 2 minus 3 times x raised to the power of negative 9. The derivative of x raised to the power of 5 is 5 times x raised to the power of 5 minus 1 plus x raised to the power of 5 times, now we apply the derivative to each of the terms of this first function. So we have derivative of 2 with respect to x minus 3 being a constant, we pulled it out of the derivative, so we have negative 3 times the derivative of x raised to the power of negative 9 with respect to x. So that gives us 2 minus 3 times x raised to the power of negative 9 times 5x raised to the power of 4 plus x raised to the power of 5 times derivative of 2 with respect to x is 0 because 2 is a constant function minus 3 times negative 9 times x raised to the power of negative 9 minus 1. So we have 2 times 5x raised to the power of 4, which is 10 x raised to the power of 4 minus 3 times 5, which is 15 x raised to the power of negative 9 plus 4 plus we have negative 9 times negative 3 will be 27, positive 27. So we have positive 27 times x raised to the power of 5 times x raised to the power of negative 10. So we can add the indexes. So we have 5 minus 10. So that gives us 10x raised to the power of 4 minus 15x raised to the power of negative 5 plus 27 times x raised to the power of negative 5. That's it. 5 minus 10 is negative 5. Now we have two common terms here, so that can be combined. So that was going to give us, the final answer will be 10 times x raised to the power of 4. So 27 minus 15 is 12, positive 12. So we're plus 12 x raised to the power of negative 5. So this is the derivative. Let's move on to the next question. So here we have 3 minus 4 times x raised to the power of negative 5 whole multiplied to x raised to the power of negative 4. So let's treat 3 minus 4 x raised to the power of negative 5 as the first function and x raised to the power of negative 4 as the second function. So when we apply the derivative, we can use the product rule. So we have 3 minus 4 x raised to the power of negative 5 multiplied to the derivative of x raised to the power negative 4 plus x raised to the power of negative 4 multiplied to the derivative of 3 minus 4 x raised to the power of negative 5, which will be 3 minus 4 x raised to the power of negative 5 times negative 4 times x raised to the power of negative 4 minus 1 plus x raised to the power of negative 4 multiplied to the derivative of 3 minus 4 times the derivative of x raised to the power of negative 5. So this gives us 3 minus 4 times x raised to the power negative 5 times negative 4 x raised to the power of negative 5 plus x raised to the power of negative 4 times, so we have the derivative of the constant function 3, which is going to be 0. So we have negative 4 times the derivative of x raised to the power negative 5, which is negative 5 times x raised to the power of negative 6. So we have 3 times negative 4, which is negative 12, x raised to the power of negative 5, plus negative 4 times negative 4 is positive 16, x raised to the power of negative 5 minus 5, plus x raised to the power of negative 4 times negative 4 times 5 will be 20, x raised to the power of negative 6, which gives us negative 12 x raised to the power of negative 5 plus 16 x raised to the power of negative 10 plus 20 x raised to the power of negative 4 minus 6. So the second term and the third term are the same thing, are the same term, because it both consist of x raised to the power of negative 10. So finally the derivative will be negative 12 x raised to the power of negative 5 plus 16 times 20, which will be 36 x raised to the power of negative 10. So this is the derivative. Let's move on to the next question. So here we have 5 plus 3x multiplied to x raised to the power negative 3. So let's consider x raised to the power of negative 3 as the first function and 5 plus 3x as the second function. So the derivative with respect to x will be first function, which is x raised to the power of negative 3, multiplied to the derivative of 5 plus 3x, plus the second function, which is 5 plus 3x, multiplied to the derivative of x raised to the power of negative 3. So we have x raised to the power of negative 3 multiplied to the derivative of 5 plus 3 times the derivative of x, plus 5 plus 3x multiplied to, so derivative of x raised to the power of negative 3 will be negative 3 times x raised to the power of negative 3 minus 1. So we have x raised to the power of negative 3 times 0, which is the derivative of 5, plus 3 times the derivative of x, which is 1, plus 5 plus 3x multiplied to negative 3 times x raised to the power of negative 4. So we have 3 multiplied to x raised to the power of negative 3 plus 5 times negative 3 will be negative 15. So negative 15 times x raised to the power of negative 4 minus 9, which is thrice x, multiplied to negative 3x raised to the power of negative 4. So we have minus 4 plus 1. So that gives us 3x raised to the power of negative 3 minus 5x raised to the power of negative 4 minus 9x raised to the power of negative 3. So we can combine the first term and the third term. So that is going to give us negative 6, which is 3 minus 9, negative 3 and negative 6 x raised to the power of negative 3 minus 15 x raised to the power of negative 4. So this is the derivative.